Hello, Kris here. Doom Telly time, episode 83, and competition time. Well, it's Metal Tag Time 2025, so that's what today's episode is going to be. So I am going to do my best, New Year's resolution, basically to try and do shorter videos. New year, new me, shorter videos. This won't happen, by the way, but I figure if I just try and at least convince you all that I'm attempting to do shorter videos, then here we go. He says, wasting 40 seconds nearly on just preamble. So, usually you say I will start these with band updates. So I will just very, very quickly rattle through the band updates. I'll start with Godthrim because that's the one that's been the busiest. We've had 2 gig announcements so far. We are playing the Parish in Huddersfield Saturday, the 8th of February. One of my other bands, Green Sabre, is opening up proceedings. Hamish will again be providing live guitar duties for that one. So me and Hamish will be on double duty that night. So yeah, Green Sabre opening. Wolves in Winter next. Brilliant Bradford Doom band. If you've not heard them, go out and do so. Cracking band. I Am Void will be on next. Again, Doom legends from the West Yorkshire area. And Godthrim headlining Saturday the 8th of February, Parish, Huddersfield. The other announcement that we've had is that we are thrilled to say that we are headlining the second stage on the Friday night of the Deprivation Festival. This is down in some farm near Swindon. I forget the name of the farm, like Avago Farm or What to Do Farm or something along them lines, whatever it is. It's somewhere near Swindon anyway. We're playing the Friday night, Friday the 5th of September, if I remember just off the top of my head. It's a great weekend. Nervosa are headlining the main stage on the Friday. Memoriam are headlining the Saturday night, and I think Necronautical are playing on the Saturday as well. You've got Cancer headlining the Sunday night. It's a cracking weekend. It will be ace to see as many of you down there as possible, but we are headlining stage 2, second stage, on the Friday night, Friday the 5th of September. That's Godthrim. Yes. Right, Godthrim update. Green Sabre update. Nothing new to report. Rehearsing. In fact, our first rehearsal of 2025 will be not this weekend, coming the weekend after. Whenever you're watching this, God knows. I think 18th, approximately. And Crow's Blood. We had to cancel this week's rehearsal because of the inclement weather. Because nobody could get there. But besides that, yeah, we're just sort of rehearsing in earnest and trying to get the albums worth of stuff together before we go into the studio at some point this year. So watch this space. Right, 3 minutes. Let's crack on. The Metal Tag 2025. This is the third one I've done, I feel. Like it was Scott up in Scotland that originally sorted these, but he's not done anything on his channel for a while now. So it is Marty and Alan from Heavy Metallurgy that have taken these over for the last 2 years now, including this one. So again, another cracking set of questions, 20 questions. So there's going to be a lot to get through. So let's just crack on with it. There will be a link to the original Heavy Metallurgy video of the Metal Tag 2025 down below, so you can see the original video on and in all its glory. But let's crack on. So 20 questions. Starting with question 1. Right, I've got my notes down here. Hype. Question 1. Name a release you're eagerly anticipating in 2025. Well, neither of which I am certain are coming out this year, but they're 2 that I'm very, very excited for. And I think, well, certainly the first one I'm going to mention, and I'll just insert an image. Yob. Apparently something is coming this year. Now, their last album, which I probably should have dug out to be fair, but there's just be an image of their logo inserted down below. Their last album, Our Raw Heart, was 2018. So we'll be coming on 7 years now this year. So yeah, I'm reliably informed. I think there was something on the Odd page or on Mike Shate's page that as much as sort of said that something is coming this year. I cannot wait for that. I was getting a little bit worried at one point, thinking, are we going to get anything else this year, apparently? So I'm very excited about that. The other band that I'm excited about, which I remember reading something somewhere that something is potentially scheduled for this year, is, I'll insert image, but I've just realised I'm wearing the t-shirt, Magua. The only thing we had from the Magua guys last year was Hauntologist's album Hollow, which was in my end of year list of albums of the year. In fact, did it make like number 9 or number 8 or number 9, something like that? that was cracking, very Magua-esque, but with a kind of post-black metal ambient vibe to it. Brilliant. Anyway, I want more from Magua, and I think I remember seeing somewhere saying that 2025, the next Magua album might be coming. So anyway, those are what I'm excitedly looking out for this next year coming, along with countless other things. So my end of year list will be fucking gigantic again, as it normally is. So yeah, that's my answer to question 1. Question 2. Show the 25th item in your collection. Now, I've watched a few of these videos, and a few of you have been doing the whole, I'll show you my 25th CD, 25th cassette, 25th vinyl. I don't own 25 cassettes anymore, so that was a moot point. But what I have done is I've compiled them all together on my Discogs. I have a list of everything that's in my collection on my Discogs. So I just went through that and picked out the 25th one, alphabetically / chronologically, in my collection. And this is what it was. Anthrax's last album, For All Kings. And not a bad effort, I have to say, quite honestly. I was sort of part of the thinking that Anthrax were one of the, if not the only band in the Big Four that, up until a point, were actually still releasing decent records, quite honestly. In fact, it felt like there was more thought went into this, certainly, than Slayer's last album, Repentless, that was sort of instantly forgettable, barring 2 or 3 tracks, quite frankly. This is great, and I would say the bulk of it's decent, quite honestly. I mean, if you thought we'd been waiting a long time for Yob, as I mentioned earlier, this is 2016, and they're still sketchy on whether anything else is coming, quite frankly. If it's anything like this, it will probably be worth the wait, quite honestly, because I thought this was really, really good. But we'll wait and see. I mean, fucking, what's 9 years between albums, between friends and such like. So yeah, Anthrax's For All Kings is the 25th in my collection, allegedly. So yeah, right. Question 3, Overdue. Name an older band that you checked out for the first time in 2024 and loved. Well, this was a difficult one, because in reality there wasn't an older band that I first and only first checked out in 2024. But the band I'm going to mention, that I don't own any physical of, so I will insert image, is Queensryche. I'd attempted to check in on them over the years and so on and so forth, and never really got going with it. And this year again, I think it was one of my decade of heavy metal videos that my mate Lee, shout out Lee, had said that I'd missed Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche off of that year's list, and that was when I went to explain to him, sort of, I know all about it, I've been told by many friends how great it is. It's just an album, and Queensryche as a band that I've always been aware of, but never ever really, I've tried dipping my toe in and never really got much further than that. I've struggled to find anything that instantly like, whoa, this is something I need to check out more. So I tried much harder this year, and now I understand Operation Mindcrime and just how great it is. So yeah, that's going to be my answer to, what question are we on? Question 3, Overdue. That'll be my answer on this one, because it's an album that I finally appreciate. I wouldn't say it's top tier, that I finally think, oh my God, what have I been missing all my life? I've just listened to it and I'm like, yeah, right, I get it. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, my answer to question 3, Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime. And fuck knows why it took me that long to get to it. But anyway, it did. Okay, question 4, Feeding the Monkey. How do you purchase most of your music? Local store, Bandcamp, specific sites, blah, blah. I've mentioned this on a few vids, quite honestly, over the past how long I've been doing this shite for. And increasingly, it's iTunes / Apple Music where I predominantly get most of my music from. As I've mentioned loads of times, as you can see behind me, I have a very, very limited amount of space. This is just my vinyl behind me, and it's all of it for the bulk of what you can see. I've only got like 400 and some vinyl, and I'm running out. I've got a bit of room, but honestly, if I squeeze another 20 in there, then I'll be maxed out. My CDs are over in that corner. Some of, like I say, I bet you I've got 100, 200 boxed up upstairs in the loft somewhere. in various boxes as well. Some of which I can't find, some of which may have just gone. But anyway, I don't have room. So predominantly, and most of my music is done either in the car or on headphones. Most of my music listening, I should say, is done that way. I don't have the time really to sort of sit here and sort of sit in front of the record player, and I'd love to, you know, and read the lyrics and look at the artwork and immerse myself fully. And I mean, hell, that's the whole fucking appeal of vinyl, is just that immersive experience. But I just, in this modern world, I don't really get the fucking opportunity to. So, so predominantly, my main music listening is done on headphone or in the car. At which point it's MP3, it's download. It's what's on my phone, basically, that the majority of my listening is done with. So the majority of my purchasing is still done that way. However, like I say, because I've got Apple Music currently, if there's something that I love, then I'll buy the physical. And I will buy it generally from Bandcamp, because that is where the artist, provided you go by the artist page, will get most of the profit back from. So it's best for the artist. So I try and go via Bandcamp. The off-putting thing with Bandcamp recently is the postage, which, quite frankly, postage in general has just gone insane. So that has influenced how I purchase. I'm also incredibly lucky to live in the city of Leeds. Shout out City of Leeds. And have a couple of decent record shops on my doorstep. The main one of which is shout out Scott, shout out Crash Records in Lancaster in Leeds. Jesus, that's because I was looking at another note over there. Crash Records in Leeds. It's fab. It's great, and I'm really, really lucky to have a record store that gets the bulk of even pretty obscure black metal stuff they'll get in. So yeah, I'm really, really lucky with that, because not everyone is. People that live in smaller towns, I think this is where I was going with the Lancaster thing. If I still lived in Lancaster, I'd have nowhere. You've got HMV in town, and that's it. I'd have nowhere really to go out and buy and touch and purchase physical media. I'm incredibly lucky that we've got Crash Records in Leeds. So yeah, feeding the monkey, bulk of my purchasing, iTunes, Apple, the rest of it, Bandcamp, Crash Records in Leeds for my physical. Right, okay, question 5. Enigma. Show a heavy metal album that musically is really hard to place in a heavy metal subgenre. Well, I'll start with this, and I could have picked everything by this band, quite honestly. But Faith No More, and I picked this album in particular because there's all sorts of kind of, not even metal, there's like lounge jazz, there's kind of samba, there's gospel, there's grind, there's all sorts of fucking stuff on here. But Faith No More in general are a band that I would say are almost impossible to nail down what genre are they. They're considered metal for the most part. In fact, if you go in most kind of like places like HMV and stuff like that, you will find Faith No More in the metal section. But certainly like Angel Dust, King for a Day, even parts of Album of the Year and Sol Invictus, it's a stretch to call it metal, really. There's all sorts of stuff going on. But yeah, so I thought I'd show that. But also this one, Devon Townsend's Empath, which was his last truly brilliant album for me. And is this from fucking like 2019 or something? It's going back a bit now. This is another one. There's moments on it that sound like Morbid Angel. There's bits on it that sound like musical theatre. It's fucking all over the place. So yeah, Faith No More's King for a Day and Devon Townsend's Empath are albums that I think are really difficult to place in one genre of metal. So yeah, that's my answer to question 5. Question 6, Eating Crow. Talk about an album that you used to hate, but after years it finally clicked and now you can't get enough of it. I've mentioned this before, and I think quite hard about this one, but this was an album that I bought it when it come out, because back then records were as inexpensive enough to you think, oh, that's on here, right? Oh, that's on Roadrunner. I'll check that out. They've usually got a a good track record with these things. And it was this album, Nocturnus is the Key, an album that I now consider to be a masterpiece of early 90s Florida death metal. But at the time, I disliked it enormously. I could not... When I first heard it, I thought, what the fuck is that? It was like kind of... My first impression of it was it sounded like substandard death metal with weird sci-fi keys really overbearingly thrown over the top of it. And I could not get into it at all. And it was at least a year, I would say maybe 2 years, where I came back to it and all of a sudden it clicked. Something resonated with it and I thought, oh, you fucking moron. What I've missed, I don't know, but I absolutely adore it now. And it is slightly cheesy with the kind of, you know, sci-fi fucking key runs going on it, but it is a mesmerising piece of work. This is the original splatter vinyl press from way back when, so glad I kept hold of it. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Did not like it at all at first, but absolutely adore it now, and it is canon, if you ask me. So yeah, that's my Eating Crow. Question 7, Impulse. Show an album that you blind bought in 2024. Well, as I've mentioned on previous videos, and as I alluded to earlier about collecting and stuff like that, I very, very, very rarely blind buy anything these days. Certainly physical media has got to the point where it is so fucking unaffordable these days. It has to be something I want. Like I say, affordability and based on space. It's got to be something I want that is worthy to sit on the limited fucking shelf space that I've got back there. So I almost never blind buy. So I don't know whether this is a bit of a cheat answer to this one, but Death Metal Dylan, shout out Death Metal Dylan. Top Banana was on the fucking hard sell for this band this last year, and rightly so. He sent me a message sort of saying, Chris, you need to check this out straight away. I've got some CDs. Let me know if you want one. I'll ping one up to you. So I PayPal'd him. He pinged one up to me. And this is what arrived. Daisy Cutter's debut. Self-titled, I think. German HM2 death metal band. As you all know, Dylan, he's all about the HM2. And this is more of the same. But I consider this a blind buy because it was just Dylan basically saying, you need to check this out. It's great. Right, fair enough. Take my pennies, send it up. And he did. And it was a worthy blind buy. So I was glad that I did. Cheers, Dylan. Brilliant album. And almost made my albums of the year, actually. A really, really good debut, that. But yeah, besides that, I almost never blind buy anymore. It's got to the point where it's just not affordable. I will blind try stuff on Apple Music, iTunes. But I don't figure I figured that didn't count. I could have thought of loads of stuff for that, but I just figured that didn't count to answer this question. So that's why I've gone with Daisy Cutter. So that's my answer to question 7. Number 8, Collector Scum. Show a title that you own, crucially, more than one pressing of on the same format. So CD, LP, blah, blah. Now, I've shown you my myriad of pressings of Forest of Equilibrium by Cathedral, so I won't show you that again. I've got 3 vinyl of that one so far, but I won't dig that one out. There is also Typo Negative, Bloody Kisses, that I have 3 vinyl copies of as well, none of which are the original, I should add. They're all reissues. But Johnny Mac Rock and Metal Plus, shout out. Johnny, he beat me to it. I feel like there's another video that someone's mentioned Bloody Kisses as well. So I thought, right, I'll have to think of something else. And there are a few. There's a couple of Autopsy albums that I've got. Severed Survival I've got 2 vinyl of. Mental Funeral I've got 2 vinyl of. But I thought, let's dig out this one, because I've had 2 of this for years. It is the seminal classic, I mean, second album, technically, is it? I know that the first one with We Are 138 on it and stuff, and gets a little complicated and makes it with that the first record. I still consider Walk Among Us as their first one, and this the second one, personally. So, but anyway, it's Misfits, Earth AD. Now, I don't know if you can see in the glossy cover, there's a slight variation in the purple on the front. That's slightly bluer, that's more purple. And they're both black vinyl, but one of them sort of see-through to a point where it looks brown almost. Is it this one? No, I think that might be the solid black one. But they have both seen better days, quite honestly. They are both battered and gnarly old copies, but one of them's worth considerably more than the other one. And I think the more valuable one might be this one that I've just showed you. Or is it this one? Like you say, well loved, both of these. I can't... No, I think this might be black vinyl one as well. It's hard to tell. But anyway, yeah, one of them, the vinyl, I think it was that first one, to be quite honest with you. The vinyl's that thin that you hold it up to the light, it looks sort of brown in the light. But yeah, so multiple copies of this classic Misfits record. I can't find the link to that. But yeah, so I thought, fuck it. I've not seen this one yet on someone's, but I'm sure someone else will show this eventually. But yeah, 2 vinyl pressings of Misfits Walk Among Us. Right, 9, show off a grail, something that you really wanted, that you acquired in 2024. I don't know whether it counts as a grail, quite frankly. Because, again, grails have got... That's expensive these days. So I have to put some serious... And I have to put some serious money aside. And having 3 bands, that takes up the bulk of my pocket money. So I don't have a lot left now for collecting tons of expensive vinyl. But what I did pick up was this. The Director's Cut Phantomas, they re-released all the Phantomas records on vinyl this year, did Ipecac Records. And this is an album that I've loved ever since I first bought it way back when on CD when it come out, and loved it. And this is, I know that they did a big box set of Phantomas stuff that's worth a fucking small fortune, where you could get vinyl presses of the stuff in there. But outside of that box set, this is the first one where they did standalone reissues, so I was thrilled to get hold of this because I absolutely love this. It's, as mentioned before, it's Phantomas, Mike Patton, Buzz Osborne, Trevor Dunn and Dave Lombardo, essentially doing kind of grindcore death metal versions of movie theme tune classics. You've got The Omen on here, The Godfather, Experiment in Terror, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, all sorts of... absolute gems. So yeah, really chuffed to finally get this on vinyl, because it was one that I've been after for a while but was never out. So yeah, that's my grail, something I was really pleased to get hold of. Okay, question 10. A plea to the VCLT gods. What is a grail item that you're on the hunt for? Well, it's anything by these guys on vinyl. Dissection. I only have CD. That one arrived to me courtesy of Cavernous Carnage. Dave, thank you ever so much for sending me them down. You're an absolute fucking star. Storm of the Light's Bane. Digipack. I got this for Crimbo. The Somberlane reissue on CD. I would dearly love... all Dissection on vinyl. I would, but I would have to sell the child to fucking fund that, quite frankly. They are insanely priced, and that includes a lot of the reissues as well. I mean, even the Somberlane reissue, the most recent one, you're looking at nearly 60 quid to get it here, quite honestly. So I would dearly love any Dissection on vinyl. So if anyone has any spares, which I doubt they do, or they're feeling overly generous, then please look my way. And I even include Reign Chaos. I think Reign Chaos is a magnificent album, massively underrated, and you just, if you think it's shite, then you need to go and reassess it. Yes, it's a very different beast. It's melodic death metal. Storm of the Light's Bane is probably the most black metal they've been. The Somberlane is blacker death metal, I would say. But yeah, anything by that band. I have to have some Dissection on vinyl at some point, but I cannot afford to do it at the moment. So yeah, that's my plea to the VCLT. I've no spare to send back, by the way, so just caveat that. Don't send me anything thinking, oh, good lad, here you are. He'll send me something nice. I've fucking no spare. So, I mean, you can have Moshkinstein by Acid Rain if you want as a trade. I think that's a fair trade. Right. Okay, question 11. Boomerang album. Show an album that no matter how many times you purge it from your collection, another copy returns to you. Due to lack of space. Oh, sorry, that's my answer. Right, yeah. Anyway, due to lack of space, nothing that I'm particularly not asked about makes its way into my collection. I do not have the room for stuff that I'm not particularly bothered about. So, yeah, I don't... Nothing really... I read that question in a sort of negative sense, something that you don't really particularly like that always fucking makes its way back into your collection. Well, I don't have the room for stuff like that, quite honestly. So I answered it in a different way. Something that I've had in my collection multiple times that has either gone or lost, disappeared into the ether, but I've got it back. So I answered it with this. And I could have mentioned a couple of bands like The Beat, The Specials, but I'll show off my my very small Madness collection of 3 original press albums, I should say. One Step Beyond, Absolutely, and whatever this one's called. Is it 7, is it called? Oh yeah, it's got number 7 in the bottom. Yeah, they kind of dropped off a cliff for me after these 3. These are the 3 best ones. Madness were the first band that when I was a 5 or 6-year-old... when I was a 5-year-old, there was pictures of me wearing a Madness t-shirt, and it's the one that was the front cover of the... Oh, in fact, I should have dug that out. I've got it up there somewhere. The Night Boat to Cairo 7-inch, where they're all sort of stacked up, heads on top of each other on the front cover. I had a t-shirt of that when I was 5, definitely. Like I said, there's a picture of me with it somewhere. So they were the first band that I was into. And we had the records at home that I would constantly keep playing. Fuck knows where those records went. Often disappeared. I then bought them again in my old record collection, which I got for fucking pennies, quite honestly. And then that old record collection went by the wayside. That is another long and sad story, though, so let's not go into that. So I've bought them again since thrice. And here we are. So, yeah. Boomerang albums, but I answered that in a more positive way because I fucking love these. I love a bit of the old classic Two-Tone Sky Revival stuff. It's one of my guilty pleasures is that. In fact, it's not even a guilty pleasure, it's great. So yeah, Boomerang albums, madness. Okay, reunion, question 12. Name an artist that you had lost track of over time but connected with in 2024 or reconnected with. And I'll answer this question with image inserted because I don't have any physical media. King Diamond. I did have some reissues on vinyl of some later albums, but I sold them a couple of years back. Sold them to Noises for Heroes in Leeds. Shout out Noises for Heroes, another great record shop. I sold them to him. They were kind of reissues of, was it like Abigail 2 and Voodoo and they're called Them or something? No. It wasn't one of the classic ones. It was one of the sort of later, more... Anyway, Image inserted a King Diamond. Again, Merciful Fate were a band that took me a very long time to get into. Most of you will know King Diamond's voice. It's particularly it's a difficult sell. And it's that took me far too long to get my head round, but now that I do, musically loved it. But it was Merciful Fate that were the first ones. I still couldn't really get into King Diamond, but over the last couple of years, King Diamond riffage, I've been like badgered away by a couple of friends, and in particular, shout out once again Lee, who was telling me riff wise King Diamond is sensational. You need to get into that, listen to some King Diamond. And this year, I have. Now, also this year, was what has brought it into the focus, is that he announced that he's on tour, so I already have my ticket for Manchester next year. So I'm very looking forward to seeing King Diamond next year. This year even, in Manchester. June? Is it June? Anyway, middle of the year at some point. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, this year in particular, I've been proper getting into Abigail and Conspiracy and those early King Diamond works, and fabulous. I absolutely get it now. So yeah, that's my answer, question 12, reunion. I kind of touched I got back into touch with my love for King Diamond. So, yeah, that's my answer for that one. Okay, number 13, Upstart. Name a new band whose debut album really impressed you. Apparently, the album didn't have to come from this year, which is a good job because it didn't. They did have an album out this year, but I will show the debut anyway because this is one that I'm talking about. Arth. This hit like a sledgehammer when it came out. I was recommended it by a friend. It had been out a month or two, I feel like, before a mate said, have you heard that new Arth? Like, new what now? Guy from Winterfilleth, Keys from Winterfilleth. It's his solo Doom project. Check it out. Wow. And this is still, this will be canon. It's still, what a debut. Jesus Christ. I mean, talk about hitting the ground running. An absolutely mesmeric, sensational bit of work. A classic. This will be a top 10 Doom albums of all time for me, I would say, quite honestly. I just don't consider it in my Doom top 10 yet because it's not old enough. For me, if you're going to like go to elite tier, you need to have, it needs to have been out at least 5 years. I don't know where I've made that fucking rule up. I'm just making it up as I go along. But anyway, I'm waffling. What a debut. Their album this year is almost equally as brilliant. I would say this just shades it ever so slightly, but there really was very, very little in it. And their album this year, Untouched by Fire, was very much a continuation of where this left off, and it's more of the Northumbria story. More of it, it's a prequel as such to this St. Cuthbert story off of this album. But what a debut. Wow. So, yeah, that's my answer to question 13. Okay, question 14. Oh, I'm not doing bad, half an hour already, though, kids. Okay, 14. Influencer. Show a band / release that you bought in 2024 as a direct result of watching someone's YouTube channel. Well, I could have answered this with Death Metal Dylan's Daisy Cutter recommendation again. However, I remembered a band that I had not heard of. I've not heard of them in the slightest, and it was, I'm sure it might have been a video by, is it Edgy or Altars of Madness? It was one of their videos, and I think Maguire had been mentioned, and in the comments somewhere, it might not have been one of their videos, it was a video or so anyway. In the comments somewhere, someone had very much an elitist black metal comment, was kind of like sort of, hey, if you think Maguire are great, they're nothing. They're like Slipknot compared to, now let me get the pronunciation right, another Polish black metal band. And I want to say that this is a one-man project. Vedriacy Viatra. I think they've got about 3 or 4 albums out now. Like I say, it's a one-man project. This is the debut. I'm not about to attempt to pronounce the debut, because it's in a kind of font that is it like Tvoragiadze Mystika Opalatsa Svit or something fucking along them lines. Vedriacy Viatra. Wow. Yeah, and this was some gatekeeping black metal elitist to put something in the comments somewhere. Might not have been a gatekeeping black metal elitist. It was just the tone of the comment, as if you don't know shit if you think Maguire are great. Check out these lot. And blah, blah. But anyway, I'm fucking glad that I did check out these lot. Maguire are still great. But so is this. It's not a competition, boys and girls. But thank you for the recommendation, whoever it was. This is sensational. Yeah, proper atmospheric, lo-fi black metal excellence. And to answer question, what the fuck was I on there? Influencer. Question 14. A release that I bought as a direct result of a YouTube video / comment. So yeah, Vedriacy Viatra. Okay. 15. Don't judge a book by its cover. Show a great album with bad cover art. Now, this feels like a bit of a cheat because I don't consider this a great album. I consider it a good album. So that's how it's... So there are some great songs. And possibly one of my favourite songs by this band is at the end of track A on this. Who Cares Wins. The album is... Brace your eyes. This. I mean, what the fuck is that? I mean... one of the worst album covers in existence. I mean, it doesn't really, the front's still better than the back, but I've always disliked this album cover immensely. But yeah, This does not tell you at all what is contained inside. At all. I don't understand it. This choice of artwork. Like I say, it's almost like Anthrax. Maybe not themselves. Maybe it was more label driven because they weren't a major at this point. They were on Island, weren't they? Well, Megaforce, which was it a subsidiary of Island Records? Anyway, whatever it was. So maybe it was a major label push to get that kind of, hey, you should be wacky skate kids. And they fucking embraced it in spades, as you can see. But I think it's a terrible, terrible cover to what isn't a terribly bad album at all, quite honestly. So yeah, that's my answer to question 15. Don't judge a book by its cover. Question 16. Rembrandt, show an album whose cover was created by one of my favourite artists. Well, this might sound like fucking sacrilege, but I'm not a physical art person. I love various other artistic mediums, music, drama, film, blah blah. But physical art, pictures, paintings, sculptures have never really floated my... Well, I mean, you know, I'm not adverse to a great piece of art, as I will answer this question now with. But they don't wow me like music does. They don't wow me like film does. I just find them sort of, oh, yeah, that's quite nice. And that's about as far as my interest goes with it. I find I get bored in art museums as such, like, you know, so. But yeah, so my answer to this is a bit of a cheat, and I feel like this has been on another video. So I picked my favourite famous metal artist. And there were a few, really. It was Michael Whelan that did the Cause of Death cover and the Sepultura, is it Beneath the Remains and Arise? There was him that I could have mentioned. There was your man that did whose name escapes me, Derek Ridley, that did the Iron Maiden, Iron Maiden classic artwork. Could have picked that. There was, the guy that did... his name I forgot, that did fucking Spiritual Healing, Leprosy, Scream Bloody Gore, countless loads, Ed Repka, loads of stuff. But I find Ed Repka hit and miss. I like some of his artwork. I do not like some of his artwork. Some of his artwork I consistently liked, though, was Dan Seagrave. So I've picked out what I think is my favourite Dan Seagrave cover art. It was very, very close between this, Left Hand Path, and Altars of Madness. But this is my favourite. I think it's the depth of it. When you start going off up into the distance there, there's just so much to lose yourself in. You know, Left Hand Path has that depth to it as well, but not quite as much as this. I just absolutely love this piece of artwork. So yeah, I picked Dismembers Like an Ever-Flowing Stream from my favourite metal artist, Dan Seagrave. So that's that. Okay, question 17. Name an album that you would like to see reissued on vinyl or CD. Vinyl, ideally, because I don't really see a massive amount of point in reissuing CD. Well, I was going to say reissuing CDs because you can get them cheap enough. You can't get them cheap enough, quite frankly. So yeah, again, as mentioned before, Dissection, please reissue Somberlane, Storm of the Light's Bane, Rain Chaos. Please reissue those three on standalone vinyl. I don't want a sodding box set that's going to cost me £300, £400. I want standalone vinyls that I can pick up one at a time, ideally. Don't make them double unless you have to. And don't give me any of them fucking puffy gatefolds unless you have to. But yeah, that's what I'd love to see. Another classic that I would love to see reissued on vinyl, and it's had a few reissues, is this, the debut by Cradle of Filth. I've mentioned this on a previous video, but I desperately want this on vinyl. The original goes for daft money. The few reissues that we've had as well also go for fucking daft money. So I would like another reissue, please, that I can get in on. I appreciate this is massive as well, so it might have to be one of those annoying puffy gatefolds, but such is. Please give me a reissue of that, though, and Dissection. Unless one of you lovely chaps wants to send me their back catalogue on vinyl. Thanks, guys. Right. Okay. Number 18. Name an album from a genre that you typically do not listen to very much. And it's a genre I listen to next to nothing of. But I love this album. And it's it's an album that resonated with me back in my days where I used to smoke quite a lot of wacko tobacco. And it was this. you'll be thinking, what the fuck? This is the Ozark Mountain Daredevils, and the album is called It'll Shine When It Shines. This is country rock. Southern American country rock. There is so much country on here. But I absolutely adore this, and there are some mesmerising standout tracks on here. I'm thinking You Made It Right. Brilliant opener, that one, to side A. Side B, Walking Down the Road. That's another cracking way to open the side of a record. Brilliant. The title track, It'll Shine When It Shines, is a gem, but it's the track that ends side A, E.E. Lawson. There's a proper stomp to that. It's got like slide guitars all over it. The vocals are delivered in this really kind of punchy baritone style. I mean, it's country rock, let's not forget, but it is absolutely mesmerising. So if you listen to anything off of this album, Ozark Mountain Daredevils, the album It'll Shine When It Shines, and the track E.E. Lawson, fucking fantastic. And I love this record. I picked this up off Discogs 5 or 6 years ago for £3 or something. And honestly, the cover's a tiny bit battered. The record is absolutely mint. It's like it's never been played. Yeah, so bit of country rock for you. So that's my answer to question 18. Okay, question 19. A band that I hope to see live in 2025. Well, I would answer that with King Diamond, and I'm going to see him. Another band that I really desperately would hope to see live in 2025, and the opportunity is there, is this band. This is their latest album, Achilles. They're playing Fortress in Scarborough. I am so tempted to buy a ticket purely for Achilles. There's a few other bands on that I wouldn't mind seeing, either Ulcerator playing, I think, and a few other bits and pieces. Probably 4 or 5 bands, but the tickets are fucking otherworldly expensive. I know in the grand scheme of things, they're probably not bad value for money for all the bands that you're getting. But when I compare it to Damnation, I feel like it's top end. The other problem is they're getting out there. Now, I'm nearer to it's in Scarborough, and I'm nearer to Scarborough than a lot of people. But even from Leeds, Scarborough back and forth is a long haul, so it's going to require accommodation. And all of a sudden, your £180 ticket or whatever it is has turned into £380 with your accommodation on top. And then you've got it's an expensive do. I know this sounds like first world problems and really fucking pathetic, but if they could just maybe do some standalone gigs and come a bit closer. I don't think Achilles are one of those bands that you're going to get very much in the way of standalone gigs in the UK, though. So I might have to save up what pitiful remaining bit of pocket money I have and go for that. But yeah, that's who I would like to see in 2025. Okay, final question. In closing, tell your viewers about 2 new to me YouTube channels that you discovered in 2024. Or just a shout out to 2 channels. So 2 channels that are new to me, I can answer this, are, and I will put links to their YouTube channels below. Ben Ash Guitar. I was lucky enough to meet up with Ben Ash this year when I was on tour with Godthrim. We played the Music Room down in Ipswich, and I got to meet Ben. Ben is current guitarist for Strigoi, and was away recently as touring guitarist for Satyricon as well. So he's played with some big guns as Ben, but he's a top bloke. I had a really good natter with him at that Ipswich gig. So, but he's got a YouTube guitar channel where he sort of teaches you guitar licks and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how busy he is on there, but there's a link down below, so check that out. The other YouTube channel that I've really got into this year is Primordial Alan. Alan from the band Primordial over in Ireland. And I don't know why it took me so long to discover his YouTube channel, but this year I did. And it's brilliant. Some really deep topics that he goes into. He's a really likeable guy. He's got a brilliant presenting style. And they're like his podcasts in video form. And it's a great channel, but there'll be links to both of them down below. There are 2 channels, though, that I think also deserve a shout out here, and I'm going to shout out to This Is Music. There will be a link to his channel down below, and our good friend, also including This Is Music, our other good friend, Roger Kjovic, link to his channels down below. I am shouting them out because I did my first competition this year for my 200 subscribers, and I left both of those 2 who did entries off my fucking drawer because I'm a moron, and I didn't make a note of them. So yeah, I'm giving them a shout out as a way of an apology that I will need to make up for the next 100 years, quite frankly. So shout out to them. So again, I'm so sorry that I missed you off my draw. I'll make sure that when my 500 subscribers one comes up, you're on there, whether you put an entry in or not. So yeah, so that's it. Right, 45 minutes. Let's wrap this up. I knew this would take a while, sadly, though. A lot of questions. Thanks ever so much for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. I'm up at 258, 259 subscribers at the minute, which is great, but let's get it up to 300. And I love doing this metal tag, and it was great fun yet again. So thanks to Marty and Alan from Heavy Metallurgy for putting these questions together. Next week, I might get back to my decade of metal videos that I've been doing, but it feels like there's been that big a gap between them now, whether I can be asked to pick that up. But wait and see. So until then, later, guys.